All right, Ramblers, let's ramble. We have special guest today. I'm kind of excited. A couple of courses that I teach at the college level involve sports and politics, sports and government. But we also deal with culture a lot, and we deal with especially the world of football, soccer, because it's so prevalent around the world. We discuss that in both my courses, the soccer course and my sport and government course. And I thought, wouldn't it be great to speak to some national football team coaches? And I reached out to one and I got a hold of one. So this is my first national team coach interview, and it is with Lloyd Owers, who is the coach of the Marshall Islands. He's also the technical director of the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation, right? It's not this. It's not football. They're actually
It is.
using they're using the word soccer there. Why did they use the word soccer? Do you know,
They are
like
using the word
culturally, why they
soccer.
did that?
It's just such a heavy connection to the US. Everything is US based. Everything is culturally linked to the US. So I think in the region, everyone's football. And then as soon as these guys formed the federation and went with soccer, it was like, what are you doing? But yeah, it makes sense for that reason. You said I'm only kind of excited. I've known you for about 15 years and you're only kind of excited.
You know what? I've mellowed out. I've mellowed out over the years, man. Uh, yeah, I mean, so we have known each other, right? Like, is it 15 years?
2013, 12 years.
Holy crap. So we coached together at an academy level in Canada for a while, and you were just coming as a guest. After that, you went back to England, right? You
Yeah,
were
yeah,
you were coaching there. That's where you were born and raised. That's where you got your trade. You have your UEFA A license, correct?
yeah.
Yeah, was that a big deal getting that for anybody that wants to get their coaching license? How hard is
Yeah,
it?
well, to be honest, it's actually, well, that one's ongoing at the moment. So I can't say I'm fully signed off yet, but it's been a long time in the making. I think it's 9 years since I did the B license, and it's just taken so long to get onto the A. It's crazy because the competition is so heavy. But I remember you and I have had this chat before about doing different things alongside soccer or instead of soccer at times. But I think now it's hopefully starting to pay off in that sense because we are in this random position while we're talking here.
Yeah, you have to grind at the beginning. You're almost like a grifter. You got to take on as many roles as possible. You're coaching at maybe more than one club until you finally
Yeah, yeah,
break
yeah.
through, right? How did
Oh,
the
definitely.
how was it that this position came up for the Marshall Islands? They've never had a national team, so they decide if you want to go through a little bit of history of what they're thinking about getting their first national football team going, their first national soccer team. What was going on in their heads? Do you know?
So to be honest, it started randomly. There's the president of the Soccer Federation has a loose soccer background. Is the Marshallese, but went to college in Virgin Islands. Played a little bit. His kids like play or like watching the game. So he was like, "Look, we need something for these kids to do. We need an extra outlet." So recruited a few different people into with a background as well who are not Marshallese, Solomon Islands, Fiji, different places, and created this board. Marshall Islands Soccer Federation went through the government process and then sat idle for 3 years. Um, and so this is, I mean, 1 year of it was fair enough. It was coming out of the back end of COVID, but the rest of
Yeah.
the time it just sat there. And then I was during COVID I went back to study as you do because it was a lockdown. I wanted something to do.
Mm.
So I did a master's degree in coaching, performance, football coaching, soccer coaching. I was doing coach education online, different pieces for coaches online. And something I was doing fell into the hands of Shem, who's the president of the federation. And I thought it was a couple of friends on a bit of a wind up, a bit of a joke, but some due diligence it wasn't.
So they're actually serious about it.
They're actually serious. Like,
Yeah.
why are they interested?
It is interesting. What is there? I mean, we got to be realistic, right? We're not going to,
Yeah.
your goal isn't to win the World Cup. You have 45,000 people. That's the population, right? The diaspora, I don't know
Tiny.
how big that is, maybe 100,000.
Uh,
Um,
you've got the main island is 26,000,
26. Okay.
and
Wow.
then
I
in the Marshall
overestimated.
Islands itself is around 40,000, and then there are about 20 odd thousand in the US as well. Small, very
Um,
small population.
yeah, extremely small. So what is their goal then? What is their realistic goal?
I think it was such a blank canvas that we almost wrote the goal for them. So the goal was for the federation's goal was to play soccer, and like I said, it sat idle. And then for myself, when I got involved, I asked a guy that I've known for years who had done similar sort of projects with different places. He was part of a region called Matabeleland, which is near Zimbabwe, and it was a whole region of that. And he took them to like the Kenifa, the unofficial World Cup. He did different projects in Sierra Leone, different things like this. So I thought, like, this is definitely someone to get involved. So he came on board. And then another guy called Matt, who's also a British guy, was doing the commercial marketing side. And the three of us, yeah, we just had a bit of a plan of attacking every angle of soccer, and from branding and commercial side, media, technical, everything. And then once it started to gain traction, and people were like, "Well, this is the last nation on earth without a national team," it started to
Is it
skyrocket.
really?
So it actually is, yeah. It's the last UN nation without a
Wow,
national team.
okay.
So like even you've got countries like Nauru, which are they've played unofficial games, but they've played fixtures, and it was a case of like they've played crews of ships that have come onto the island. The Marshall Islands haven't done anything.
Are you
So
close to Nara? No, I never get the word right. Is it Narawu?
Nauru, yeah, it's like the next one.
Is that near you guys?
Yeah, it's
Isn't that,
part of an island hopper flight, maybe like 3 hour flight.
don't they have the highest body mass index on the planet?
Yeah,
And they
Marshall
have a
Islands
football team.
fourth,
You guys are fourth?
sort of. So they did have. They played a couple of
Shit.
fixtures years ago, whereas the Marshall Islands they hadn't done anything. So we were just like, I was gaining interest, and we were like, well, we need to do this. We need to put it on the map, but also give opportunities to people from the country to represent the country in a different platform. Like you must have seen, or people must have seen, Cool Runnings, the
Yeah.
bobsled team, and it's a bit like that because you've got these people that have never represented the country in any form of soccer. We did it last year with futsal, but 11v11, that's not happening until this summer. So this summer we'll change that. We'll be playing the first international 11v11 fixtures for the country. So those guys that are doing it are making history.
That's pretty amazing, actually. It's going to be their first. It's going to be in August, actually. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. So if
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
uh, first of all, being ranked would be a goal, right? Being FIFA ranked, because right now
Yeah.
there's no ranking. You've never played a match, right? So there's no ranking. That
No,
would be a
no.
goal, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, realistically, the first goal is to tick off the first fixture, which is this summer. We've formally applied to be members of a confederation. So we've applied for three different routes. The most logical one from the outside is Oceania,
Mm.
but technically Asia makes more sense because there's a even though there's a big US culture, there's a big East Asian link as well. But also logistically, you can get to East Asia really, really easily via Honolulu or via Guam. But then we've also applied for a CONCACAF because the connection governmentally, politically to the US, but also the direct flights to US.
Ah,
So
okay.
yeah, so we've and a massive amount of Marshallese that live in the US. So we've gone for three avenues. So that's another milestone, and then a goal, and then also, like you said, FIFA, which is longer term, but yeah, still something we want to do because ultimately we want to be part of World Cup qualifiers, Olympic qualifiers, all those different big milestones that you can do in the sport.
Yeah, I would suspect that the biggest goal for these players, I mean, the biggest achievement in their lives afterwards will be, hey, I was in a qualifier for the Cup, right? I mean, that would be
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
amazing to come from a country that's never had a program.
Um, I think that's the thing for us as well. We're seeing that as part of the program as like the longevity, the long term process of it. This summer, the average age of our squad is like 19. We've got we've got high schoolers that are playing, and we've got older ones that are playing as well. So the squad, for example, is made up of some US mainland based players who are Marshallese, um, and they're a real mix of some have played college, some have played high school, some are still in the seniors in high school, a couple have played pro, so it's real mix. Then we've also got players from Majuro, the main island. We've only taken five because futsal is the main sport there for us at the moment. But we've got five players that are, strong. One of them grew up in the US, has a good background of 11v11, but the rest are new to the game, but very technical. And then we've got some guys that are from the US military base on Kwajalein, which is a Marshall Islands island, but US run.
Okay.
So these guys have been there either their whole lives in the Marshall Islands, or some have been there. Like we've got two guys that are 40, and they'll probably be out. Like one of them played, I think, D2, so not not the worst, but he's 40. But at the same time, we need him because he's going to be the one that sort of just puts the arm around the young guys, and even if he
Right.
doesn't play that much, he'll be able to be that person in the background. So it is a real mix. But these guys, yeah, we're seeing it as a long term process to hopefully be 4, 5, 6, 10 years time. These guys will still be in the squad.
Absolutely. It's interesting. You mentioned futsal because I think it's smart to incorporate a lot of futsal in a new program because it's going to develop a lot of technical skills that the
Yeah.
smaller countries they're missing, right? You look at these small countries and it's like where they're technically gifted players. Well, with futsal, you're going to have them because they're going to be comfortable on the ball, right?
Well, that was part of the reason why we did futsal in the first place. So it was because the game was so new, the sport was so new in when we started, like January 2023. We were like looking at it, thinking, well, what can we do? Venue wise, basketball courts were everywhere in Majuro. Like you go anywhere, there's basketball courts. Because of the US link, everyone plays basketball. And we were thinking, like, well, if they play basketball, they'll understand, and we teach them futsal, they'll understand
Mm,
5 transition, attack, defend. They'll understand those principles, and then we can teach the technique after. But the good thing about it is we've got some guys, like I think two of the guys that are playing this year have lived in the Marshall Islands since they were three. They're like 18 now. So they're Marshallese, but they are from the Solomon Islands. Their parents grew up playing the sport. So they like the parents play as well. And like they're not in the team for the summer, but they were part of the sort of the movement to go get it going. So those fundamental skills and learning of futsal is brilliant for us, yeah. Because like last summer we competed internationally and did really, really well. But technically, it's we played an outdoor game against between Majuro and Kwajalein in February, and the guys that were playing futsal the whole time. It was funny because it's a big pitch, but all of a sudden they're still like this close to each other,
yeah,
pass.
yeah.
It's like,
That's
oh, okay.
right. Yeah.
So it's
It's
interesting
like
to see.
Brazil.
Yeah,
The
it's funny to
overload.
watch. But no, that was why we did it, and then developmentally now it's actually just spiraled onto what we want to do.
Who was that first time you met the team like? You fly there for the first time. You're treated like an ambassador. They bring you. You meet the team. What's
Yeah,
that
I
like?
honestly, it's the first time I went there. Hang on, what was that? That was July 23. So we'd only been doing it about 6 months. And I remember standing in the middle of a field thinking, like, no one's going to turn up.
Like it
And
was a
sure,
tryout or something.
honestly, like, it was the first session. Like, never happened. And we've been promoting it on social media. And I'm standing there, like, football's goals, everything's set up. And I'm on my own with maybe, like, I don't know, one other guy who was helping. And all of a sudden, we're
Did you have
like,
the cones out? The
we had, the,
cones out and everything.
we had two like mini pitches, the goals were set up, everything. And then like we are just standing there, like looking at our watches, and he's going like, look, don't worry. And then next thing, this guy rocks up, and it's the guy from the education minister. So he's gone like, don't worry. Marshallese time, they'll be here. And this is like 30, 40 minutes after it's meant to start, but no one's there. And he's like, don't worry, it's early. And it's like, it's 40 minutes. And then all of a sudden, like you get loads of people turn up. It's like, oh, okay. And then from that point onwards, it's just been constant. Like the guys are now, they're playing, I don't know, 4 nights a week. Kids are playing. We have like 200 kids playing in schools.
Wow.
So they'll grow up playing the game now. But back then, it was crazy. But yeah, I remember walking into a shop, and the guy behind me was like, "Oh, you're the soccer guy," and I was like, "Yeah, yeah." Yeah." And he's like, "I saw you in the paper." I was like, "Okay, fair enough." And then you go out somewhere else, and someone would say the same thing. It's like this is weird. Like I'm in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and
Yeah, I mean,
this is
what's it
great.
like? I mean, is it just a small town and are there military bases? Can you give us briefly like just a s an encapsulation of the environment, what it looks like, the atmosphere?
Um, yeah. So Majuro itself is 26 miles from top to bottom. That's it.
That's
So what's
it.
that like? 40 kilometers? Crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm not even exaggerating. It is one 2 lane road, one going one way, one going the other. Then either side of the road, all the way along that 26 miles, is water.
That's it.
You've got road, building, water both
And
sides behind
water.
it. So it's just long and narrow. And that's it. It's flat. There is no hill or anything. Then you go to, so I'd always only ever been to Majuro. So then this February, I went out again and did a different trip and went to Majuro, but then also Kwajalein, which is a US military base. So even though it's a Marshall Islands island, and proud of it, it's you need US military clearance to
Yeah.
enter. So it's like, right, okay. So and that is like, I think it was the nickname. It's nicknamed like I don't know, something of the Pacific, whatever it may, I can't remember now, but it's amazing. Like, it's unbelievable. You've got anything you can think of. You've got, you know, fast food chains, you've got little shops, you've got nice places,
Okay.
but on a tiny island.
Wow.
And then 20 minutes boat ride from there, we stayed on an island called Ebi, and it's the sixth most densely populated place on Earth.
Really?
Um, yeah, you've got
What's it called?
20, Ebi, Ebeye,
Wow.
and it is, yeah, it's eye-opening. I couldn't believe it because poverty is so high. You've
Yeah.
got around 15,000 people living in 3 square miles, and it's unbelievable. Like, you've got kids without, clothing, bedding. Kids go to school to sleep because they can't sleep at home, and it's sad. So, like, you come off the island and you're thinking 20 minutes away, you've got everything.
Everything.
And then even
Wow.
an hour in Majuro, it's a mix. So there's not a lot there, and people don't have lots. But the difference between even there and Ebi was just night and day. And it's sad to see, like, you've got kids that they don't have anything, don't have toys, whatever. And and that's the sad part of that
Yeah, they
one.
don't even have a
You have
childhood.
fun. Sorry,
They don't even have a childhood.
they don't. No. In Ebi specifically, Kirin is celebrated which as the biggest birthday, and that's the first birthday because statistically, a lot of kids don't make it. So it's celebrated as like a big milestone. Sad.
That's one of the great things about working abroad or coaching abroad is you get to see other things that you wouldn't have seen and understand parts of the world that you wouldn't have
Yeah.
understood before. And sometimes it's
Oh
not for the
yeah.
better, sometimes it's for the worse, but you got to see that part too, right?
Well, the thing is as well, like, it makes you almost want to help in some way. Like, we wanted to help anyway, but it is almost now at the point where football is like the tool to make more of an impact in different aspects. So, like, through football, we can get donations of clothing and bedding and toys to the islands. We can get um, equipment or different things that kids can play with, different activities. So, like, you can help in that sense. But also, the Marshall Islands is uh, connected heavily to climate change, and on Ebi, it's starting to be protected with sea barriers, and reclaimed land from imported material from Dubai and stuff like this. So, like, they've obviously built reclaimed land, whatever, from that. Majuro as well, the national stadium for football or sport in general is built on reclaimed land, but it's all protected by a seawall. But it's going to be affected by climate change, especially in the outer islands. So even through this, for example, it's eye-opening in raising awareness to that problem. And like last week, I was in Seville because Real Betis, the Spanish club, invited us out to do a talk at their like Forever Green Gala. They're a green club, and because our most recent jersey was made of sustainable products and recycled
Yeah, I saw
products,
that. Yeah.
yeah, so it was because of that, and it raised awareness to climate change, and it had a really big impact on social media. Some people loved it, some people hated it because it
Yeah.
just raised too much awareness to climate change.
It's true.
So it's yeah, we're using, we're trying to do what we want to do, which is the
Yeah.
football side, but at the same time, you almost carry a bit of a responsibility now to just
Foot
continue to help raise awareness in different
yeah.
aspects.
Football can do so much. It can be divisive, but it can also bring people together.
Yeah,
Right? It can go both ways. When you first did you pick your captain or did the captain come with the team?
don't. One guy that I thought was an absolute shoe in for it has turned out to be. not an absolute shoo-in for it. He's not overly as much of a role model as we had expected. So
All right, come
I
on, let's hear it.
I can't give names for
Okay,
obvious
no, no
reasons,
names. Just
but
what's the process like? You got to pick a. You
oh
need a
mate, it was
captain.
like
You need a leader.
fake receipts to claim money from the federation for like things like this, and it's like, ah, right, okay, this ain't a captain. But it's tough because the guy that I would make captain is he's a mate. Like I'll send you a clip after this. Like, plays as a senior at high school, but he's an athlete. He plays American football. He plays soccer. He's a big guy. But like some of the on the ball, he's brilliant. Off the ball, he's an absolute like menace. He'll just smash people for fun. But he's 16, and I feel like if you're making a captain at 16 of a national team, it's a bit it's that could potentially be a little bit damaging and
Could
harsh.
be.
So yeah. So I've still got to decide that one. I'm going to leave it until like the first couple of training sessions when we get to Arkansas and then make it out from there.
Yeah, and maybe see, who kind of emerges as a leader because being a captain,
Yeah.
there's a lot of football teams where the captain isn't the leader. A lot of football
Yeah.
teams, it's
Yeah.
just who's the oldest, who's the most
Yeah.
senior guy, which makes a lot of sense because there are so many own goals that teams have when they get into these issues with captains,
Yeah.
taking away a captaincy, giving it to somebody else, and they're all upset about it. And it's just such a stupid issue to fight over, right? You need
I think that's
leaders,
not the
not
problem.
captains,
I
and
wanted,
leaders
I would,
emerge.
yeah. And I mean, the thing is, I understand that concept as well. I think I would quite easily pick one of the senior players. Like right now, I could pick one of the players who is the oldest player. But at the same time, then on the flip side, he probably won't be involved if, for example, we do make get qualifications, confederation status, whatever. We qualifies in 4 years' time. He's probably not going to be part of that squad. So it's almost like then, what do I do?
Right.
But for one get for the for this tournament, it could be the right pick. So
Yeah, that's tough.
yeah, we'll see. I think there are a couple of options. But yeah, like you said, a leaders will emerge, or the right person will stand out. I think it might even come down to when we're uniting these guys because I think cultural shocks are going to be massive. Like the guys from Kwajalein have been to the US, or even if they've lived in the Marshall Islands their whole lives, they've got family in the US. They go every year. Um, the guys in the mainland US have played at a decent level, some of them. But the guys from Majuro, they might be technically really good, but a lot of them have never left the country.
Right.
Going from the tiny little island to then America is
Yeah.
that's going to be a massive jump.
And if
And I
they
think the bonding is going to be huge. And I think it
bonding,
might
yeah.
come down to like a captain's choice of who helps the integration of like the bonding of the group off the pitch rather than on it, or as
Right.
well as on it.
Who gets everybody together, or who's like the glue.
Yeah, who takes everyone under their wing
Yeah.
a little bit, who sort of, brings out the
Yeah.
best in people or just
Yeah.
creates a bit of an atmosphere.
And you know what? Sometimes that emerges really fast. Like you'll see it in the first hour, first half hour, sometimes in a training session. They'll make the choice for you, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's it. It might be that a 16-year-old
Yeah.
stands out because the way he plays is really confident. He might be the same off the pitch,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
but at the same time, you almost want to protect him because I think it's one of the things. No one expects us to win these games. But we had the option of playing regional countries and doing really well.
Yeah.
But we decided that, we want to be FIFA members. We've almost got to compete against them. And if we're not ready now, at least we've tried it because in 4 years'
Yeah.
time, we might be ready.
Well, San
And
Marino loses every game 10 nil, and they're still in FIFA.
exactly that. Yeah. And the players still turn up, the fans turn up. You know what I mean? Like, it's part of that just pride. And I think, yeah, it might be one of those things where people don't expect us to win. So having a 16-year-old captain because he might be the future of it, that might not be the worst thing. But no, it's exciting either way. I think, we're confident that we can put on a bit of a show. I think off the pitch, we're trying to make it as Marshallese cultured as possible in the US because there is that massive connection. And the reason we chose Arkansas is because there are 20 odd thousand Marshallese that live in the state.
I had no idea.
Um, it's
I had
crazy.
no
And
idea.
yeah,
Did you have
honestly,
any idea
not
that
when we
there?
started. It was only because where the story was growing and growing and media attention, and I think ESPN and ESPN and someone else in the US, but definitely ESPN picked up the story. And then after that, we had like someone, literally one person reached out from Arkansas, And he was like, look, you know, there's loads of us. So we did a little bit of research into it. He was helping a lot, and yeah, just we came across lots of people to realise that this is a massive hub of martialese in the US, and that has
Wow.
then spiraled on. And that's how we found players. You know, like we were booking flights yesterday, and we've got a college. He's just finished playing college soccer, so college right back, who's 20, 22, whatever. So he's from Pennsylvania. Then we've got his brother, who we've not selected for the squad, but realistically, good player. He played as a senior in high school, had the choice of a scholarship for soccer, but chose a tennis scholarship instead.
Mhm.
But we decided not to take him because he's not currently active in soccer. So we like, we'll give the chance to the ones that are. But then also on the flip side, we've got two in Washington State. We've got a couple coming from Oklahoma. We've got a couple in New Jersey. We've got
Wow.
all these different places that have come out just because of the story growing. But obviously, yeah, Arkansas is the main hub for it, and we want to make sure that we get a big fan base and a big following from it.
The we're talking about the about the mainland players. It's going to be a shock for them when they go outside the country. Are those players as well? Have they ever played 11v11 and actually understand tactics of an 11v11 and just like the basics of movements and cover?
The Kwajalein guys, yes. The Majuro guys, no.
No. Okay.
And that's the reason why we've not taken many.
Right.
The only reason, like, if it was futsal, again, we'd take
Yeah.
all the Majuro guys. And we probably wouldn't have anyone else from there because they are strong. But yeah, we've only taken five from Majuro. One is, hang on, is it five? Yeah, five. So one has played in the US, he lives in Honolulu at the moment, but has family in Madurai, so he's a bit half and half.
Mhm.
So he's experienced. We've got another guy who grew up in the US, played 11v11, lived in Kwajalein, played there. You know, he's come back, so he's played. But then we've got three others who are, yeah, they've never played 11v11. They played one 11v11 game in February. But the reason we've taken those three is because they are really strong technically,
Mhm.
and we
It's
just
like you
felt
have to. It's like teaching them like children
give the
again,
option.
right?
Yes, to give the option give the opportunity for them to play and show that that technically they are very good. They are very quick. They're clever. It might be very different, but they're technically good enough. So we'll just take them and see what happens.
So in August, you're playing in this. Did you guys set this up like this mini tournament in
Yeah,
Arkansas?
yeah, we've
You guys set it
organised the
up?
whole. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So myself and Matt
There's
have
three teams.
basically. Sorry.
There's three teams.
Yeah, so it was going to be four. Guam were invited. Guam dropped out. Not fully sure of the definitive reason. We suspect it's because they have the opportunity to play against another FIFA nation closer to them and get FIFA ranking points for it. So it's fair enough. You can't complain. But on the same time, yeah, Turks and Caicos and US Virgin Islands have been really supportive the whole time. And we found that actually, like out of all the confederations, CONCACAF have been the most supportive, like in terms of nations. Everyone, I don't know if it's because it's like island life and they resonate a little bit,
Maybe.
but yeah, really supportive. So those guys are coming in. Um, they're bringing strong squads, so it'll be tough. But yeah, we're organising the whole thing from, and this is the thing, the bit that takes up your time with it because it's from selecting the squad to organising the flights, to booking the flights, to organising the catering in the area, local transport, coordinating airport pickups, like all those little things.
Yeah.
Got I'll give a shout out to a guy called Woody Watson who is in Arkansas, and he is unbelievable in the sense of like he just wants to help and do anything he can. So he's now sort of looking after things at a US base. So if there's getting people to organise the venues, for example, he's done that. So but yeah, it's coordinating all these different aspects.
It's a
It's
pain in the
coming
ass.
together.
It's a
It's a
huge
big
pain in
task.
the ass. Yeah. So you
Oh
need
yeah,
somebody to do
definitely.
all that stuff because you can't deal with
Yeah.
it. You got your own shit to do.
Problem is, you can't also like it gets to that point where you don't want to be a control freak. You also don't want to trust people because we've delegated the tasks out and they just haven't happened. And they're like, well, the clock's ticking. Like we have to do this. So we end up doing more and more because you just have to get it done.
Hey, Roy Keane got kicked off the Ireland national team because he complained about the hotels. If you remember, he got sent
I,
home from the World Cup. So
I
you,
remember. I
you need somebody
remember.
to take on this shit. Um,
Honestly, mate.
so this tournament, you're going to be taking on Turks and Caicos. They're ranked 206th. I think we can take them. I think we can get a point off them. I
I
think that
reckon.
would be, yeah,
This is the thing. Like, we're almost tactical in the sense of who we invited.
absolutely.
Um, the Turks and Caicos and the US Virgin Islands are quite low ranked FIFA,
Yeah.
but they are FIFA ranked. They've got professional
Yes,
players, right?
they're
So they're
FIFA
going to be.
ranked.
They technically should be a lot better than us. But if you're going to win a game against a FIFA nation, this is probably the chance to do it.
Yes. There's all these movies, right? Like Cool Runnings and bobsledding and football movies where somebody takes on the team of misfits. They don't know how to play. Nobody's expecting to be very good. And of course, in the movies, because they have heart and they believe in themselves and they've got that coach, they go and win it all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
In the real world, football isn't like that.
No,
The team that's not ranked top 15 in soccer isn't going to win shit, right? I mean, we got to be honest, right?
I know. But the
So,
thing is, like, I'm almost drawing hope from the ones that are based loosely on like true
right.
story.
But there's still a great story there and there's still great achievements. Getting into FIFA, being part of a qualification process
Oh
is
yeah,
massive. It would be
massive,
huge.
massive.
So
And I think
exciting.
we've got a good opportunity to put the nation on the map a little bit more, give people the opportunity to say they've done something no one else has done before, but at the same time, show the world that these guys hopefully, hopefully can play.
Why not? I think it's a
Exactly.
great story. Yeah, I think it's a great story. How many of these guys have other job other than the kids that are in high school? Do they all have full-time jobs, all your players?
Um, so the US based ones are, yeah, mostly what we got. I'm trying to think. I think a couple of are just finishing high school, so we'll go to college. A couple have just finished college and will move into employment. In Majuro, they are the Charles is he works, he's full time, he has a full time job, but I can't remember what he does now actually. Um,
It's like
Folia is a student in Honolulu,
it's like
and
60s
then
football in England, right? You're an electrician
yeah,
by
it's
day and then you got a game at night.
mental, mate. Honestly, it's crazy. And in Kwajalein, they are a mixture of high school seniors and the older ones work at the military bases as civilians in on the US base.
I saw on the website your kind of your like your roadmap, kind of what you wanted to put emphasis on, and I thought it was so smart. The very first thing was youth development. It's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's 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 so important. I can't believe how many professional clubs in the world have really really crappy youth development programs. So they just figure, we'll just go and buy players, right?
Yeah,
But for
yeah.
you to start at the youth level, can you talk a little bit about what that entails? I think that's where you should start. So good for you for doing that.
Yeah, I mean, because the sport was so new, we realised it had to be sustainable. It had to have kids that grow up to play. Because 10 years time, these kids that are in even in elementary school, that realistically they could be playing like they are like the guys are this year, 16, 17, 18 years old. So we knew we had to start with the kids. But at the same time, because everyone, once the story was growing, everyone wanted the 11v11 game to happen. And we had to keep pushing it off because we weren't ready for it. And we feel we are ready now, but we weren't for the last 2.5 years.
Right.
So we've almost had to work like top down and bottom up and meet in the middle. So we've got the adult game growing in terms of futsal and Majuro. But if it was just players from Majuro, we wouldn't be able to play 11v11 still. So we had to use those players around the world, and it's fortunate that we do now have those players that we've come across. But with kids, yeah, we have fortunately we have some good guys on Ireland that are good with it. So a guy called Tony Theomay who coaches the men's futsal, but also is a teacher. He understands kids, how they learn, and he's brilliant with them. But he also does anything for the game. Um, So he coaches a couple of the sessions per week with the adults and the kids. We have another guy called Kazim who, yeah, coaches the kids sessions. Has lived in the US, grown up in the US, born in the US, and has a good soccer background. So he's really keen as well. So he wants to help grow it. And then Charles, one of the players, it's the same again. He helps out where he can as well to help coach it. But we also have, so like we had last summer when we played futsal, we played against one of the other countries locally called Kiribati. And then after the tournament, a couple of them reached out and said, "Look, we want to help." So we ended up having two guys come over from Kiribati for 3 months earlier this year, and they were coaching in the schools. They were doing the evening sessions, and that was fantastic. So, like when the schools now go back in August, from September, we'll have coaching again in some of the schools. So it's great in that sense. And then also, yeah, we have the evening sessions and a Saturday session that kids can come and attend and just get more activity, get more touches on the ball.
That's awesome. It could almost you almost developing, hopefully, if it turns out that way, organically, like a little subculture of futsal, right?
Yeah,
Which could
yeah,
end up in the future. I mean, that's you look at Atlanta United. One of the reasons why they're so successful, their MLS team, is at downtown. They put a whole bunch of little concrete futsal places, and people just
yeah.
they just go there and they just start playing the day. Some people hang out there on the steps and they just watch. And now you're building a culture instead of a sport. And I think that's the most important thing is building the culture.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think for us, it's like I said, it has to be sustainable. It has to be long term.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you haven't got kids playing, when these current group of players get too old, there's going to be no game.
Yeah.
So we have to have those kids playing.
Yeah. And you don't want to, the story is such a nice story right now and it's got momentum. You don't want to go the other way. And it's like, well, okay, we tried, it didn't work. As long as you got people like yourself and some of your friends that are obviously putting in their own effort, their own time, and probably not for money. As long as you have
Yeah.
people like that and you've got kids that just want to play soccer, you're going to be fine.
Oh,
Just,
exactly
yeah,
that. And I think the thing as well in Majuro, there's not a lot to do.
right.
So, like, put it into context,
Yeah.
I couldn't believe this the first time I heard it. The cinema closed about 5, 6 years ago because DVDs were being imported.
You guys still have a blockbuster there? What the fuck? Oh man. It's
So
like
they
you're
could just,
not even on the same planet as the rest of the world.
it's crazy. There's
Yeah.
nothing, there's no, like, I don't know what hobby is, there
Yeah.
isn't it? There's, there is nothing to do.
Yeah.
There's no mall, there's no
Yeah.
bowling, there's no
Yeah.
cinema, there is
Yeah. But
nothing
you could have futsal and football be
exactly
what the
that.
Marshall Islands do at night. What do
Exactly
they
that.
do culturally? That's what they do. That's
Yeah,
awesome. Like
exactly.
that could be the thing.
Well, at the moment, it is like that, but with basketball. Like the reason
Right.
everyone
Right.
plays basketball because it's the easy thing to do. You need a
Yeah.
ball and you need a hoop and you play. Fine.
That's it.
Volleyball is big as well,
Yeah.
but we almost want it to be part of that sort of sport calendar per year,
Yeah.
so that even if we
Yeah.
don't, well, we are going to compete with it. But at the same time, that can share the calendar. Those same players that play that sport, that sport, that sport, they've got something to do all year round.
Yeah.
Um, but
And
on the
it's
flip
like you
side,
said,
we
you
are
can use those courts for futsal.
exactly.
People are
Yeah,
still around. The size is the same. It
yeah,
works.
yeah. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
the thing is, like, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves in that
Yeah. I
sense
know.
because like,
Yeah.
basketball's been played since the '60s in Majuro in the Marshall Islands, and they've never played an international fixture.
Really?
We're
So you're
we're
ahead of
playing
them.
this summer, not
Wow.
competitively. We're playing
Yeah.
this summer in soccer, so we're fast approaching.
Yeah. You're approaching it quicker than they have.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, good for you, man. Well, I'm glad you got success. I mean, this is good. This is awesome. You're building a sport for a population, and that's always good. And it's hard to do.
I think it's
So good for
hard,
you.
unique, but certainly interesting anyway.
Yeah, and it's every every program out there that is successful started out with something small in scale.
Yep.
And again, I'm not gonna suggest that in my lifetime Marshall Islands is going to win a World Cup, But if they're in qualification every single term, every single time, like San Marino is, right? San Marino is it every fucking year. There's qualification for Euros or for World Cup, and it's like, okay, San Marino, 11-0, Spain, 11-0, blah blah blah. And there's Gibraltar, and so
Yeah,
why
yeah,
not? Why not Marshall Islands, right?
exactly that. That's what we're thinking.
Yeah, and
The
you're
opportunity
changing
to wear your
lives too.
nation's flag.
Yeah, and you're changing individual lives too. There's going to be individuals whose lives are changed because of this.
Well, when we went to Kwajalein in February, like that is only an hour flight, Madro to Kwajalein. And one of the guys said to me, like, this is the best weekend of my life. And it's like, yeah, fair enough. Like, fair enough. You're not left the island before.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's good
amazing.
enough. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
good
that's
enough.
amazing. Do you need a ringer?
Yeah. You know any?
All right, I'm getting up there now. Just put me in the middle of the park. I'll just bounce the ball around.
He can blow the whistle.
All right, we're going to pause it here and thank you for your time. I'm going to then say goodbye to you afterwards and call you some names as well because we haven't had an honest conversation in a long time. This is the first time we actually talked. We usually just message, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Send memes. Done.
yeah. So thank you very much. We wish you the best of luck. And in August, you're taking on Turks and Caicos, and you're taking on Virgin
US
Islands,
Virgin
U.S. Virgin
Islands.
Islands.
Yeah.
I think we can get 2 ties out of that. Just got to
I
stay
think
nice
so.
and compact, nice and compact.
I might even go 4-4-2 and just
Just
Mike Bassett style.
yeah. The only part that sucks is you can hunker down, right? You can park the bus, you can be tight, but if a couple goals go in early, it's
Then you're
like,
fucked.
oh shit, this is going to be a long freaking day, and it's going to be like Bayern Munich and whoever it was 10-0 the other
Awesome.
night, and that's
Yeah.
the part that really sucks. Do you remember those assholes? Australia beat a team 32-0. I think it was Samoa. It's like you
American,
fucking
American
assholes,
Samoa.
32-0, and they were still pounding in the goals. And the other team had a 14-year-old on the team. They just walked in off the street because they couldn't. And Australia's like, yeah, 31. Let's go for 32. Like, screw off.
Honestly, I'm just hoping that's not us.
Douchebags, man. Anyways, we'll cut that part out because you're now you can't because someday somebody's going, hey, somebody called the Australians douchebags and you didn't say anything and you're the national team coach. So I don't want to get you in trouble.
All right, thanks,
Lloyd
mate.
Owers, national team coach, the first one I've ever interviewed. I got 209 more to go. So maybe I'll get the Turks guy next. Thank you,
That's
Lloyd.
it.
I'm going to press pause here, and thanks for
Thanks, mate.
everybody for watching. And remember, don't trust anyone over the age of 30.